Yeah, hi everybody. My name's Marc Tench. I work for Leicester City Council, Sustainable Schools Manager. I thought I would just, am I sharing that? I thought I would just start off with a little bit about what we do as a team and how we sort of support schools. We're a small team. Myself and an education officer, Laura, who I think is on here today as well, and a project officer. And we support schools in lots of different ways, really related to sustainability, carbon reduction, adapting to climate change, and lots of biodiversity work as well in school grounds. We do support schools on Eco Schools Award, and we work with lots of partners, both internal and external, to deliver projects with schools. We have an annual calendar of events, and we communicate with schools in different ways. So I won't spend long. I'll just spend a couple of minutes, but just sort of showing you some of the things. Some of it carbon related, but others not directly, but certainly indirectly. So we do have an annual calendar of events. We have a biannual Sustainable Schools Awards evening, mainly for sort of school staff, for adults. But every year we have a roadshow or a series of roadshow events where secondary schools generally host primary schools to come to their school and take part in different environmental workshops. And we have a celebration event at the end of the year as well, where schools get together and sort of showcase their work really to different people from within the council, but also lots of external people from different environmental charities and organisations. And we do support schools in other ways, a lot around eco schools in terms of training, one-to-one support, and assemblies and workshops and things like that. We run carbon literacy training, which is great to hear that Let's Go Zero are going to be doing that as well. And have different meetings and so on, and communication with school via newsletters and e-bulletins and virtual assemblies and things as well. And just a little touch of some of the projects we've done over the last year or so. Tiny forests. So we have 28 schools that now have a tiny forest in their school grounds. Um, we're actually on the East Midlands News this morning for that, which was lovely. So yeah, 28 schools have a tiny forest, which is 600 trees, basically in their school grounds, and they're able to use that as well as obviously carbon capture. We've worked with WWF for a number of years and different projects around nature and biodiversity and litter projects as well. Um, we have an annual Grow Your Own Grub meal barrow competition that we work with TCV and Public Health on, where schools grow ingredients in a wheelbarrow and design a menu around it. We've had a couple of years of DFE funding for SUDS in schools, which are sustainable drainage systems when we're thinking about climate adaptation. And we have got a number of schools up and running on energy sparks as well, so they can monitor and reduce their energy. So that was just a little bit about what we do. Hopefully, I've not spent too long on that. No, I haven't. That's good. So just on to how we've been working with Let's Go Zero recently. Um, there's a project that we've been doing called Our Schools, Our World. It is Let's Go Zero funded. It was actually Brighton and Hove City Council who applied for a zero carbon fund and were successful. And they've been running a project called Our City, Our World with their schools for a number of years. And wanted to bring in more local authorities. So we're one of four local authorities who've been working with Brighton um, on this project. And as I said, it's Let's Go Zero funded. And there's just a selection of schools, but it was 16 schools, as Jelly mentioned, who sort of signed up and are working with us on Our Schools, Our World. So, what actually is it? So, it's the idea is really it's supporting schools to in a number of different ways. One of them is about uh, supporting them to integrate environmental education throughout their curriculum. So greening their curriculum really, not completely rewriting their curriculum or anything like that really, but just looking at where environmental themes, sustainability, climate change, and so on can be woven into their existing curriculum. And as part of that, it's really about trying to it's supporting them to so that they can help their students to develop a closer connection with nature. So more outdoor learning, for example. But alongside that curriculum work as well, it's very much about working with schools to reduce their carbon emissions and sort of developing systems and practices which support sustainability. And all of that obviously will be empowering children and young people to become the change makers of the future, really. Um, and I mean, I certainly won't be going through this slide in any detail. It looks a little bit confusing, a little bit complicated, perhaps, but really, our schools, our world is a framework that has been developed in partnership with schools in Brighton initially, and then we've sort of worked with Brighton to look at how it will work in Leicester as well. Um, so it's a framework which has been developed to really get schools to think about, how can we reduce our carbon emissions? How can we integrate sustainability in our curriculum? How can we make this a whole school approach to sustainability? And that's done in various ways, as you can see here. We had yes, I'll sort of move on to this bit actually. So we had 3 days of training. The first day for all the head teachers, governors, and a senior program lead, so somebody senior within the school who will be leading on sustainability. So we had a day of training there, very much looking at how our schools, our world will work. Our second day was with the senior program lead, very much looking at curriculum and outdoor learning. But the third day was with the school business managers and the site managers, and where they were able, the senior program leads again. And this was very much looking at climate action planning, and Let's Go Zero, and Jelly from Let's Go Zero came along on that for that day, and ran a workshop for all the business managers and school business managers, the business managers and the site managers who were in that room, to sort of start their journey really on their climate action plans. As part of that as well, we did have eco schools sort of come in remotely to speak about their carbon calculator for schools as well, which is an integral part really of what Let's Go Zero climate action advisors are doing really with their climate action planning. Um, so yeah, just a little mention here of what's going on. I mean, not necessarily just the curriculum, but sort of throughout everything really. But the idea is that the schools will work on a particular theme each term over a 2-year period. So there'll be a focus on biodiversity one term, focus on energy, focus on water, and so on. And that would, run throughout what's happening in a classroom, but also in assemblies as well. So it is truly whole school, not just sort of 1 year group working on it. And alongside that, there will be sort of the projects or whatever it is that the school's doing relating to those themes. And I think this slide probably just sums it up best, really. So we've got those sort of two parts, really: the curriculum, which I've mentioned, and in particular through those assemblies and through that sort of the work that's happening in the classrooms. But running alongside that is all the work that's happening with those business managers and the head teachers and the site managers and so on, to really look at how their school operations, can be more sustainable, whether that's procurement or whether that's their energy reduction or whether that's, water, whatever it might be. But working on those on the climate action plans, the things that they've put in their climate action plans really, and working on making that, putting that into practice really.